Hey guys, how are you doing? As more people get in, let's talk about what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making this kind of scene here. Today we're going to be trying to do some architecture visualization. Just doing this. I got this from Double Squid and I think it's quite an interesting image with some good visual appeals. I think this live stream is going to focus mainly on the lighting, and we're going to be using Eevee because that makes it easier to preview everything. So let's just dive in as more people get in here. If you have any questions, you can just ask, and I'll be getting to you. But I'm going to be a bit faster in this one. Just get in so that we can cover quite a lot. If you have any questions you want to ask, you can ask. You can stop me at any time, and then we can get started. So let me first begin by adding the reference image. So again, if you have any questions, just let me know. Just stop me and let me know, because I'm going to be a little bit faster here, so I won't be explaining too much in this one. So let's just have it as a chill stream. Let me turn on some measurements here. So let me just do 6 meters by 6 meters. I'm not sure how sized these bedrooms are supposed to be, but just repositioning my camera here. I'm going to add a thickness modifier to this so that we can create the walls, something like that. Now I can select these sides here, separate them into their own object. This part is going to be the roof. Yeah, so each of these walls is going to be a separate mesh on itself. Let's add in this window here. For that, I'm just going to use a boolean cutout. Let me turn off these edge length. So we're going to use a boolean to cut out that window area. So let's add the boolean modifier. Let's start working on some lighting here. Just going to add auto rendered mode here. I'll add this light into a sunlight. I want part of the shadow to be around there, some of the light to bounce around there. So let's reduce the light to about 10. If you want to have sharp shadows, you want to change the angle here to something small. Also turn on contact shadows. Now also extend this in just a bit. I also want to bake some of the lighting here so that we have some bounce lighting. So I'm just going to add an irradiance map. And I found for this to work nicely, or to have better, faster and high quality light bakes, what you want to do is add the main walls of your room into a collection. So add the walls, add the ceiling, and then the floor into a new collection. I'll call it walls. And in the radiance map, just select that as the visibility collection. Now we can bake. I can turn on ambient occlusion, turn on, and then bake that light. Let's see how it's baking. Let's also bring in some environment lighting here. Again, if there is anything confusing about this, you can just ask and I'll try to explain what's going on. It's going to use something like this. And so we have some light bleeding here around the floor. So what I'm going to do is just grab this of the floor and pull it up a bit, maybe. So let me get this, have it around there. And I think I also need another light. This time it's going to be an area light with the shape of disc. Rotate it 90 degrees. Oh, I also wanted to show you this other ArcViz render I was working on. I'm not sure how OBS is going to handle it because it's quite heavy. I'm still working on it, and the time lapse is going to be on my second channel. It's going to be a bit laggy because it's quite heavy. It's a heavy scene. Yeah. Anyway, let me just pause that. Get out of that. Is around 100. Again, make sure you have contact shadows. Reduce the disk size a bit. Yeah, so we have that kind of nice reflections around there. So now I think I can try increasing the lighting of this, the strength of this Okay, that's too much. Now let's create these wooden floors. Now for that, I'm just going to add plane. And just duplicate this a few times. Now if I add a solidify modifier, I can give it some thickness and also give it a bevel. Actually, the better way to handle this is just do it like this and then add a few subdivisions like that and a few extra subdivisions like this. Now you just select a few of these in this pattern. Let's see, because I want to create these patterns, but I think before we do that, let's first make sure they are divided. So if you select those edges and hit V, you can separate them into separate objects. And if you have the bevel, you should see other different edges like that. I need to move these edges, some of these edges just a bit to create those gaps. Now we want to add in those other. Of course, you can use bump maps for this, but they don't usually give you nice details than just adding them directly on your own. Then just hit V, then pull this back just a bit. Now you can see we have a nice wooden floor. Can increase the bevel just a bit, and in some areas reduce some of those. We reduce some of the gaps, but I'm okay with those. Now I can just use an array. Oh, let's first have this placed into our scene so that we can see how it looks. You can see now we're getting some nice details in our flow. You can choose to scale it. I can use the array. Make sure there is some spacing. Let's try remaking the lighting again. See, now it's brighter because of the environment lighting. Now we have also, let's just push this and let's make sure we have a window occlusion. We're just going to increase the factor just a bit, and this here, the factor and the distance a bit. And then now I'm also going to reduce on the environment lighting just a bit. Also maybe rotate it so that we have a different view than that. Maybe somewhere like that. Let's see. Okay, we want to have some control over the lighting. That's why I'm reducing the environment lighting, so that is not too powerful, so that which makes it easy to control. Now I can add some details in this window. So I'm just going to select this boolean that I'm using, the boolean object I'm using, and use that for the detailing the window. So I think I can delete this side and first work on this side here. First I can insert this, set it one more time, delete that part or that area. just going to go back to the materials. New material. Go to material preview here for a second. I'm going to add a texture, image texture. Find my textures. Going to use this wood texture. Change the coordinate mapping to object box, or something like that. I don't want that color, obviously. So what we're going to do is connect this, use this as a bump map and a roughness map. The bumps are a bit too much, the height might is a bit too much, so somewhere like that. Then you can add a math mode to control the roughness. I think that looks great. I'll just call this white wood. Then I can create another material. I'll call this glass. And for glass, this sorry, I think I'm muting myself by mistake, so let me fix my hotkeys here. Let me remove that. Remove that. Okay, so you can see, reduce the audio a bit here. You can see if we turn on shadow mode, you won't see the light coming through, so you want it to be set to none so that the light can come through like that. And I also want to have some roughness on the glass, some scratches on there. So instead of using this wood material, just going to find some scratch materials, textures that I have here. Oh, branch. Okay, so you can see this is not looking too bad. Just have to, yeah, that's okay. Now that we have that, let's see. Let's give this wood the same painted wood material. So we're going to change it so that it uses a color. Let's call this wood. Like that. You can see it's repeating too much. So what I'm going to do is just go back to the let me just go back here, scale it up, or maybe find a different wood texture without these patches. See if I can find that. I think this is nice. Yeah, this here, So we want it to be a bit brighter, so I'm just going to add a color, mix RGB, change the blending mode to overlay. Now I can play with the color just a bit, like that. Maybe even add a color, RGB curves, increase the brightness of this. Also want to break up the reflections just a bit, because right now they are too uniform. So before this add here, I'm going to add another image texture. This time let's find, I think this can work. If you preview this and see how this looks, you can just add a color ramp. Color ramp like that, and let's duplicate now blend the two using a math node. Maybe this is not a good texture because it's almost identical to what we are having already. So let's try this. Yeah, I think this will break it up a little bit better. So feed that into the ad. Yeah, so you can see now it's breaking it up a bit nicely. Now we just have to go back and bake the lighting again, and maybe this time let me move my lighting a bit. Then bake again. So let's make sure that this is in the walls collection so that it can also get backlight. Let's start working on these and the wall pattern. So for that, it's going to select the wall, maybe this side here. You should have the white wood material, but this side we can give it a different material. So the sign is going to sample directly this color here, and just make it something like that. I think yesterday I created a pattern texture, so let me see if I can find that. Created a pattern. Or let's just Google some patterns here and see if we can find something. Could just use this here. It's free, so pick a few. Just want to see how they will look. Then we want to use object mapping. For some reason I'm not seeing any of them. Okay, they're here now. Now we can use this as a mask or factor input for this. Now we just need to invert the colors. I think the roughness that we are using here on this wood can work really nicely on this button here. So let's just get that. I'm just going to get everything there, copy and paste it, copy, then paste here. So it's going to use the same roughness as the wood flow. Should it matter that much? I think that's nice. And so this is going to be pattern, and then this side here, this wall here, can use the same material but change the bit. So pattern, this time pattern 002. Alright, so for this pattern you can see we don't have those spots there, it's just a plain wall. So that's what we're going to do as well for that wall. Maybe make these then this side can just remain white. Just bake the light again. And let's try increasing the light, the environment light, so that we get more light coming in, and see how that looks. Not a big difference, so you can start adding in some point lights here just to get more light coming in. But let's first try increasing. Let's slide to something like 100. So we still need some more light coming in, but instead of just adding more lights on the outside or increasing the light, I'm just going to add some point lights in here. So just increase their power just a bit, and just going to evenly place them around our scene. Now I don't like the shadows we're getting here because you would need more resolution for the shadows to get softer shadows here. So I'm just, for now I'm good. Actually I need it to for this spec because I think it looks nice. I like what we have here. So let's just bake this again and see what we get. Let's start adding more stuff in this room, and maybe let's also increase the pace a bit. So let's create this bed. It's going to use the mirror. I'm going to give it the same material, the white wood, the painted wood material. Add a bevel. Down clipping. Thanks, Kalai. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Kalei see you for subscribing. Yeah, so we have our bed. Okay. Now let's create the mattress, which should be quite simple. Just round it off with a bevel. Now let's create the bed cover, which could be a little bit harder to do. So we're going to have to do some experimenting here. So let's start with a plain. Subdivide it a few times. We're going to use the cloth modifier to simulate this. So this is going to be a collision object. This is going to be a cloth. Okay, and this should also be a collision object. Okay, everything looks okay so far. Now the problem with the cloth simulation in Blender, you don't really have a lot of control over the simulation. So if I wanted to maybe pull this, there's no easy way to do it. But if I apply visual geometry to mesh so that this is applied, I can add a hook, something like this, so that when I move this around, that vertex follows. Now I can bring back the cloth modifier or cloth simulation. Make sure that my hook, this cloth is the hook is above the cloth. But now go to the vertex groups and make sure that vertex is assigned to a vertex group. And then in the cloth settings, you want to set, what is it called? It's called a pinning group. Pinning group. Where is that? Cloth. It should be under shape. Yeah. Pin group. So you can see that this is pinned there. And what we are going to do is just animate this. Let me see. See, now I can drag that and have that fall like that. The problem I'm having is that we need to set we need this to have self-collision, but self-collision really is very slow for simulations. So let's see. Actually, it's not that bad. Maybe with the new improvements things are getting better. Okay, now after that we can, I think this is a nice fold, so we can apply visuals again. visual geometry. So this hook is not necessary anymore, and we can also remove it from the modifiers. It's already removed. And we can bring back the cloth simulation again. This time, so it starts from this here. It starts from this position. Make sure again you have the self collision turned on as well. Then we have something like that, which I think is okay, but we could do better around here. So I'm just going to apply visual geometry again, then select something like that, add a hook around there, so that we gain some few more wrinkles there. So then I can add the cloth modifier again. Okay, make sure that this is assigned to a vertex group. The vertex group, and then we go back to the cloth modifier. Make sure it's set as a pin group, and select our empty. Resimulate. Now I can grab this. Okay, we need to make sure that we have self collision turned on. And just let everything go. Okay, this is not bad, except that this is going through, would go through the flow. So let's undo everything, and this here. So we're going to add a flow here like this, give it a collision property, then animate it. Animate it moving up around there. So let's resimulate this. I think that is okay. So just apply visuals again, and then delete that hook, delete this plane, we don't need it anymore. And we can, if we add a subdivision surface, you can see how this looks. It looks way better. And if we also give it a solidified modifier, we can give it some thickness, like so. So that's going to be our bed, and I think the folds came in really nicely. So let's see, what else do we need to do? Again, there are two bedrooms, sorry, there are two beds, but let's first work on one here. Just work on this blanket here. So create a new material. Let's find a texture to use. Texture to use. I'm going to go with this here. It's a nice pattern, like that, and just use it as, just colorize it a bit. machine. And since we added the solidify modifier, you can duplicate this material. I'll just call this, I don't know, pay colors. Duplicate this material again. And this time, we're going to change the colors, maybe make them a bit brighter and less saturated. So maybe let's just add a color hue and saturation here. Just reduce the saturation. And we want this to be for the second side of the bed, of the bed sheet. So something like that. So which makes things look even far better. So yeah. Now we can just position this bed better. I'm going to give this this material. And I just duplicate this using Alt D. But this time what I'm going to do is just mirror this so that we don't have to resimulate everything. Let's try baking the light again. So it seems that these beds are also being added into the cache, the light cache. So let's first go back to bring back the outliner so that we can see all the objects that are in our light cache. So we have the plane. Let's see. And see this line here is a result of this line here. So I'm just going to scale that out, bake again, let's see what we have. And you know what I'm going to do is just turn off soft shadows for this here. Okay, I don't think there is an option for that. So I think that is much better. Let me reposition our sun again. Now let me first try removing this collection here and bake again, just so we bake everything in our scene. How that would, and see how that would affect our lighting. Doesn't seem to matter that much, so let's just keep it there. Now we just need to add more sources of light in our scene. Maybe bump up. Okay, these seem to be inside the walls, so that's why they're not having any effect to the lighting. I don't want to see those specular lights, highlights, so I'm just going to reduce the specular like that. Down on contact shadows. Let's increase this to maybe 500. Okay, looks better. Let's also introduce some color in our lights, so that is so that is a bit warm. Remake. Okay. Now we have some curtains here. Those shouldn't be too hard to make. I'm just going to keep it simple as they did here. Just going to apply like this. Add a few subdivisions like that. Turn subdivision surface, but I don't want to have the corners rounded off, so I'm going to use Shift E to add, I think it's called edge crease, to make them sharp. I can pull these edges out, have something like that. Can even create a few extra ones. That are small like that. And you turn on proportional editing and start pulling some vertices in. Maybe some of them out, so that is not too straight. I want it to look a bit organic. So that's our first curtain, and I think we're going to use the same material for our bed here. So bed cover 1, see something like that. Let's just duplicate it and call it curtains. I want it to be that kind of pink there, so let me just sample that maybe. Another thing we could do here is use the translucent shader, so I'm just going to add that. Translucent. I can mix these together. You can see how that light is going through from it within there. You can see there. You just have to blend it just a bit so that you see some bit of light going through like that. Now we're going to duplicate this again, Shift D. This time scale it on the x-axis. And I think I don't know, I should use alpha blend here, but for the shadow, yeah, let's just use none, so that we can see that area there. Actually, let's just use, I don't know, hashed, so that we see some bit of shadow going through, some bit of all those lights going through. So now let's go under the alpha here, and I want this to be transparent, so let me reduce on the alpha just a bit. And also let's see, I want this to be a bit less saturated, so I'm just going to use a hue saturation node here. And just reduce the saturation. Okay, it seems I didn't duplicate this material here, so let me just make sure this uses the original colors, and yeah, so we can reduce have something like that. Let me bring these lights a bit down so that we can light this area a bit better. I just use this lamp here